Morning again, there is the appointment of the chair, so I would ask David Harris, if he could just take the first item, which would be nomination and appointment of confirmation of the chair.
Thank you very much, Ian. Can I have nomination for the chair of the Finance and Governance Committee, please, that was suggested at the full council?
Could I nominate Councillor Sybil, please?
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder? Councillor O'Leary, thank you very much. Any other nomination? Are you happy to take the post, Councillor Sybil?
I am, thank you.
Very much. So I duly declare that Councillor Sybil, do you want to take a vote? I mean,
Yes,
all,
but I only-
yes, we ought to have it. All those in favour?
That is unanimous.
All those against, well done, David.
Resign now, politics can only go downhill. Thank you very much. Before we move on to item 2, please accept my apologies for not having embraced the technological age. I did leave the house in a little bit of a hurry, and the lack of the laptop is not a conscious decision. It's an error. Moving swiftly on to item 2, which is the election of a vice chair. Committee. Do we have any nominations, please? Councillor Bell.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Byrne. He's been on the committee before, in the previous period of council, experience in this area. I think it acts as a support to the chair.
Thank you. Would anyone like to second that? Thank you, Councillor. Any other nominations? No. In that case, shall we go to vote? Votes for? Thank you very much. Members.
I think it's something that's said. They're not its right.
Very good thought, that.
Very simple.
Well, it's item 3 is apologies for applicants and substitutions. I'm aware that we've had apologies from Councillor Weller. Are there any of them? Okay, in that case, I would recommend, well,
Either proposal is seconded to accept those appointees, chair.
good. Thank you, Councillor Bell. Thank you, Councillor Nixon. In favour of accepting?
Unanimous, chair.
Thank you very much. Item 4, declarations of interest. As far as I'm aware, none pre-notified. You changed that?
We haven't had any pre-notifications and no dispensations happening.
Fantastic. Then maybe we need to vote on as it is.
Yeah.
Which moves us on to item 5, the minutes of the last meeting. Approve those minutes of the last formal meeting held on the 7th of March of this year. The recommendation is that members agree those minutes. Would anyone to those? Councillor Harris.
I propose that we accept the minutes.
Thank you very much. Councillor, you seconded it. Thank you very much. Shall we vote on that then? For? And against? Any abstention?
Can I abstain as I wasn't at the meeting, please?
You certainly.
Because I've got any problems with them.
We agree the minutes of the last meeting. Councillor questions, item 6. No questions have been received.
They're only notified, Chair.
Councillors, do any of the councillors have any questions? It does not look that way. Fantastic. Item 7, public questions. Do any members of the public wish to ask a question?
Yes, please. Thank you, Chair.
Would you like to come forward to any of them? One, even better.
David, that's a very good one.
Yeah, you can do.
What a boy.
We know that one, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here in part to represent the views of the councillor Kate Weller. But they also represent my views. My question relates to item 11, the financial impact plan. And councillors will note the underspend and the opportunity to review the allocation of reserves. So my question, Weymouth Town Council, can you please confirm how the council supports Weymouth Beach volleyball? This is a world-leading event and attracts tourists and visitors to our town. How does the council support events across the seafront generally, along the Prom and the Esplanade? How does the council support events in green spaces? Any charge for use of public space must be equitable. It is about more than turning a profit for the council. It's about investing in events that benefit our businesses and communities as well as our visitors. With thanks.
Thank you very much. I believe the town clerk is able to field that one for.
Thank you, Chair. The council has several dedicated officers who support third parties in delivering activities. This includes support for our leases, such as the donkeys, the kiosks, the rides, and other annual attractions. It also includes support for charities who have stalls on the prom to promote their causes and fundraise, as well as excellent community organisations like the Marine Litter Project, who do so much to reduce waste on the beach, encourage recycling, and help us keep our beaches clean and safe as we can. Our staff provide support for all of those organisations and those organisations organising specific events. We help them navigate the paperwork requirements and advise on needs such as risk assessments, event plans, insurance, volunteer management, and liaison with Dorset Council, which is primarily through the Safety Advisory Group or SAG. And all this is provided free of charge, with the council covering the full costs of staff time and resources. The council supports 5 active Friends of Group in our green spaces, who work incredibly hard to improve the areas. They're also our eyes and ears on the ground and excellent critical friends, providing ideas and challenge to ensure we continually strive for high levels of service delivery, and we very much value their volunteer input. The Town Council has an active and well-used grant stream, providing grants of up to £5,000, which is regularly used for events. And you also can't overlook the excellent work that the Weymouth Town Council staff team do in maintaining an incredibly high standard of aesthetics and health and safety to make Weymouth one of the consistently highest rated beaches in the UK and Europe, and ensuring that we maintain our green flags in our gardens. The reason I mention this is because that national and international recognition adds significant value to the events held on the beach by ensuring an excellent reputational basis for use. Looking after the beach and green spaces does cost the Town Council over £2 million a year. And it should be noted that the Town Council is unable to provide management for events for the Esplanade, as this is a designated highway, so remains the responsibility of Dorset Council. So you asked specifically about Weymouth Beach volleyball, and whilst I'm reluctant to discuss individual organisations, Weymouth Town Council deliver and collect equipment for their events, help them with all their paperwork, check it and provide advice. We hold numerous site visits with the organisers and help with any operational support that they need. This is our standard approach to all external events. As you said, equity in provision and service is very important. In the past, the event did receive some funding, but this had never been agreed by councillors and didn't follow any sort of formal process. The group were informed of this shift to equitable working and charging over 12 months ago. And it would be irresponsible of the town council to pass public funds to select groups where not everyone was able to access that opportunity. The council must ensure open and transparent processes that our council taxpayers can be confident in. There is an ongoing dialogue with organisers to see what additional support we can offer. And I understand that officers are meeting the group soon to discuss some specific support we've worked out for them and wish to put in place. I'm not sure if that conversation's been had, so I don't want to preempt that in this meeting. And what we want to do is see how we can support them with the transition from the previous quite highly funded arrangements to a more equitable situation with our providers. I completely agree with you that the use of public space must be equitable to all. It appears that in the past, some budgets were used with little oversight, promotion and no equality of opportunity. As part of this council's continued drive to ensure equity and transparent government, we've centralised some budgets and guided budget holders to ensure open processes where everyone can have the chance to access support and everyone is treated the same and treated fairly. Over the past 2 years, we've been moving all third parties onto the same footing, so no one can be accused of being treated more favourably than another group, and that all groups have equal access to the very limited funding the council has. As I'm sure you appreciate, the council will be remiss in letting some people hire the beach for free whilst asking others to pay. And with the limited funding available, the council must ensure it generates the income it should be generating and doesn't give public funds away to one or two groups, regardless of how excellent those events are and how high quality those organisations are. Members will know that the events policy will be reviewed next year. It is reviewed annually in time for the next year by the Environment and Services Committee, and that councillors will have the opportunity to shape that events management plan and the funding associated with it moving forward for future years. The positive variance or underspend is of course something for councillors to allocate as they see fit for the priorities they identify and the priorities identified in the council. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other further public questions? No. Thank you very much. Ian, I believe you're introducing the next item.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies that we might be a bit contradicting ourselves in terms of some of the items on the agenda. We will normally have each of the Finance and Governance Committee meetings, grant applications to be considered. The grants policy and process was agreed back in March. So this is the policy that we are now currently working to, and as part of that, there is a request for members to sit on a working group for grants so that we are able to make the process a bit more efficient and hopefully speed up the it takes to consider the grants at these meetings. So as part of the policy which agrees at the moment, we just asked if there are members who would like to sit on the grants. Previously we've had 4 members who have sat on it.
Thank you very much. My understanding is that previously the members have been a cross-party representing all groups.
It can be any members. It doesn't necessarily have to be cross-party chair, but
Councillor Byrne. Does it need to come from? Thank you, Chair. Does it need to come from Finance and Governance or can
it was agreed, Chair, for you that it was come from Finance and Governance.
Councillor Dickinson, sorry.
Thank you very much, Chair. Welcome to you on your post.
Thank you.
I'll volunteer to be on that working group.
Councillor
Chair, I'd also like to volunteer to be on the group.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor. Also, Councillor Thurman. Any other nominations? That was quite convenient. That is the number we're looking for. So,
Are
you sure, Councillor O'Leary?
Are you going to be on the chair as chairman?
There isn't a specific requirement that the chair has to.
No, it's a simple question.
Well, we have got the vice chair, so.
Absolutely. White for silver, you can have that. I will propose that we, for nominations which for clarity were councillors, clarity were councillors Taylor, Dickinson and Burnham. Votes for?
I'll second that.
For Dorring, thank you. Councillor Harris, so votes for, please.
That is unanimous, Chair.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. So, members will be aware that there are a number of policies, that the council has in place. It adheres to, periodically, we do review those policies, and where there are changes, we bring them, before the for those to be recommended to council so they can get adopted. So, the project management process, the few amendments which are highlighted within the agenda. And these are hopefully going to improve the process we follow. And we are asking the members, if in agreement, if they agree for those to be forwarded to full council to be adopted.
Thank you very much. Any comments, councillors? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, everyone. It's just a quick question. I'm wondering if this is something that would benefit at some time, probably in the next year or couple of years, for a scrutiny exercise, just to see how well it's working. Because it has taken a little while for us to get it all bedded in and looking at how it's working, and it might be, would it be a good idea to have a wider group of councillors at some time in the future, just looking how it's gone with the changes that we've made to this?
Thank you. So just, I'm suggesting that we accept as recommended, but with the caveat. This, in 2 years' time, we look at it again.
I think as long as it goes into the notes of the meeting, so we have it somewhere. What I don't want to do is start amending recommendations in the minutes.
Understood. Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Bell.
Having looked through the appendix and the changes that have been suggested, I'm very happy to propose that we accept the recommendation as written.
Thank you very much. Would anyone like to second that? Thank you, Councillor O'Leary. Votes for?
Unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much. Jim Carring, the speech.
Thank you, Chair. This is where we now get into the exciting agenda items, members. The first one is in respect of the annual governance and accountability return. The details of which are contained within the agenda. The return consists of 4 areas: the internal audit report, the annual governance statement, the accounting statements, and the external auditor's report, which have been completed upon the conclusion of the external audit. Members will have had sight of the internal report, and this committee, if there were any issues which were raised as part of that internal audit report, would need to make recommendations that all capital be highlighted. I'm glad to say, Chair, that there's no of those issues being raised, so no recommendations would need to be put forward to full council, but the internal audit will be noted. The second section is the annual governance statement, which members will see within the appendices that there are a number of assertions that the town clerk and myself go through to ensure that we believe and can confirm that the governance surrounding the council is fit for purpose. And we do that by going through those assertions and confirming that the items relating within those assertions have been met. And then, of course, we have the financial statements, which for those members who have seen statement of accounts for the unitary authority or the other authorities will notice that it's slightly shorter than those statements, Chair. And so much it is one page, which one looks like that. And the internal auditor has gone through both the accounting statements and the annual governance statement and has raised no issues. So what I'd like to ask, Chair, is for councillors to recommend that the annual governance statement and the accounting statements be put before full council to be approved.
Understood, thank you. Any comments? Excellent. Councillor Bentley?
And it seems an appropriate time to say thank you for all the hard work that goes into all these bit of documents and background checks to make sure the council's functioning properly and appropriately. So thank you very much and everyone involved. In the absence of any other comments, I'll propose that we accept the recommendation that's just been outlined.
Thank you. Councillor O'Leary. Please don't take your vote.
Let's think of
He's marginally close. Votes for.
That is unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. So we now move on to the item which relates to the financial outturn for 2023-24. I'll apologise in advance, members, if I sound wrong on this item, but I'm going to try and simplify it because traditionally it has had the ability to sort of take a different direction. So I will go through each of the items in turn and then I'll open it up for you, Chair, to take it forward. So in terms of the recommendations, what we're asking members to do in the first instance is to note that there has been an underspend for 2023-24 of 368,000. I would remind members that the majority of that underspend relates to vacancies and additional interest which we have received in respect of our investments. And I also remind members that a lot of the corrective action, which if there has been any which has been needed, would have been incorporated into the 2024-25 budget process, or it would have been considered by the Finance and Governance Committee as part of their budget monitoring for the first 3 quarters of the last financial year. What we're all also asking, Chair, for committee to look at is the list of existing reserves. And normally we would ask members whether they would like to recommend any changes to those reserves based on the priorities of the council. This is only guidance, members, but because we are yet to meet to discuss the way forward for this council and the priorities for the new council, it may be that you may wish to wait to make any changes until those discussions have taken place, so that then you can make an informed decision of any changes. That's not to say that if we don't do it tonight, we'll miss the opportunity. It will be able to be looked at. And the final item, Chair, which was alluded to earlier as part of the internal is what do we do with that outturn? So there is a recommendation, members, within your papers, which I will just put up on the screen. And these are the officer recommendations, which we feel be appropriate based on the current priorities of the council, as we see at the moment. So if I may, Chair, I may just stand on the screens. So top half members are items which have already been agreed if by full council or other committees previously. So I would expect those that they on that list, Chair, as they've already been agreed at previous committees. The second part down are where officers have requested additional funds for business as usual areas, but where the budgeting isn't business as usual. So we've got Christmas lighting now where there's a need to replace some of the lighting to ensure that it remains fit for purpose due to health and safety concerns. There are, there's a next item there where officers have considered providing an app for this council to allow greater interaction with members of the public, tourists and residents. And there's a utility to the R4 to help mitigate the rather changing costs of the energy, electricity and water at the moment. And we are working with the energy companies, so we're going forward with the budget process. We can iron those out, but just to provide contingency going forward, we've asked that. And as council traditionally been very good at providing those contingencies, it's easier to provide and then allocate it elsewhere rather than allocate to notify it at a later date. And the items at the bottom, Chair, are ones which are related to existing priorities. The most notable one there is the nursery relocation, which is a stream which is being looked at by officers, which would be formed part of a report coming forward, but it would be prudent to put some funds aside to ensure that we can do that priority. And we have an awful lot of assets which we need to service, and it would be prudent to put an amount to fund those capital works as and when they come up. So the options which are open to members, Chair, is I'd suggest the ones in green would be approved. The options open to members is you could agree the other ones because they are based on our priorities, or you may decide that you would rather leave them the rest of the funds unallocated until the priorities of this council have been decided. And of course, members are at liberty to recommend areas for which they would like to allocate some of the underspend to. But again, we would normally ask that they are based on priorities rather than just ad hoc items which members may wish to see. There's a process, go through the proper committee process, and if that goes through that committee process, then we can allocate the funds at that stage. So I wouldn't expect there to be too much conversation on the detailed, Chair, in terms of the outturn, because it's looking backwards, and we've done more of that work as part of the budget monitoring. If members do have questions, they can always ask officers after this meeting. But if there is specifics, of course, we will try and answer any questions.
Thank you very much. I'm conscious it's quite a meaty item with a number of parts. So is it worth going through items A, B, and C? And no. So I'm looking at the items on the agenda as items A, B, and C, because I think happy to be contradicted by anyone that thinks otherwise, but I think item C is likely to be the one that we actually people might want to discuss. Items A and B might be a little more straightforward. So for clarity, you don't have the agenda in front of you. Item A is that councillors know the draft outturn position for last financial year of an underspend of £168,000. That doesn't sound too controversial. Does anyone?
Before we start talking about any of that, I've got a question just to get some clarity, my own thinking.
Absolutely.
And that is, much of the underspend came from staffing not being filled, staffing not being filled. If we had all our present structure completely filled, what impact would that have on the budget in terms of how much would that actually mean that the budget the budget deficit or the budget underspend would not be as much as it is? How much would it still be?
So you're quite right. The vacancy members will recall we had a lot to restructure last year, and that created some vacancies which have now all been filled. So the underspend, just as a start of 10, is just a one-off underspend, will not be repeated in future years. I would like to sort of say that the underspend on the salary inspector vacancy is approximately, off the top of my head, 150,000. Councillor Harris, they're obviously within the details which members have as part of the finance report, there are variances within there. It's not just a case of just saying it's, there are ups and downs. But that would be, and I can check out, thinking roughly where it would be.
That's all I need for this present situation, the rough position.
Excellent, thank you. Sorry, councillor Hope isn't on the committee, but he is here, and I believe it's desperate to ask a question.
Thank you very much, Chair, for allowing us to do the committee this evening. I think first of all, we've got to know the position we're in, and I know the financial officer has told us that part of that is to vacancies. When you look at the outturn report, and you look at the challenges we've faced in some of our areas with income generation over the last 12 months, particularly affected by poor weather in some of our cash generating areas, we find ourselves in a very, and I think we've got to recognise the financial management both by the officers and the previous administration of this council, given of course, it'd be great if we sat and find us as a member of the public and the work that he's done. But you know, my sort of plea here is this evening, I really think hold fire on how we're going to allocate these reserves. We've got a day coming up, we're going to be looking at the new council's strategic plan and our priorities as a new council. A lot of this funding could be used to fast track some of those priorities, or bolster up some of the previous priorities and projects if this council still sees them as a priority. So, you know, my urge really at the current stage is for the council to hold fire on the allocation of the underspend, give us a chance to have our day where we look at our priorities, not forgetting that there is, use the term carefully here now, a general election in 3 weeks' time. Funding that we receive in our communities could drastically change. And there may be a need for this council to look at ways of supporting some of our residents, our most vulnerable residents in this community who may benefit from this funding. Streams that they've currently got access to are halted. So I'd really like to play on caution here. Because I could come up with loads of options, because I really feel that current priorities, whilst I respect what we're trying to do, I'm not seeing a lot of priorities on that underspend list that are going to directly benefit our residents and our ratepayers, and I'd like to see a lot more community focus. So I really urge this committee to hold fire on that allocation till we've had time to review our strategic plan, look at our priorities of the council.
Thank you very much. Okay. Sorry, councillor. Yeah. So councillor Dickinson.
Thank you very much, Chair. Having been on the seafront lighting working group and all the work Shane did on, I really feel we need to move forward with that because costs are going up all the time. And the state of the electrics on the seafront is deteriorating. So I would like to see the seafront lighting reserve put into place for the seafront lighting so that we can get on with it. I think it's quite important. The other thing is, I'd like to ask the Deputy Town Clerk, when would we get into trouble for having too much in reserve?
Carry on.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll take that in two parts if I may. If I could pick up on the C. Just picking up on wise words always, and obviously something that knows this committee will consider with their deliberation. What I would say is those items in green, I think we probably need to allocate to those areas that they've already been approved by previous committees. It's the blue and the yellow members would like to leave that unallocated, then obviously that's the sums that I would suggest are left unallocated, but the ones in green stay to slight hybrid. We need to allocate those already been approved, but the other ones we leave. In terms of too many reserves, I do quite like that question because we get into trouble if we've got reserves which are twice as much as our preset. So there is actually something set in our guidance which we need to adhere to.
Thank you very much. Councillor O'Leary.
I think Councillor Taylor's performing, so I will
Very
proceed.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you. I'm quite happy on the blue section, I'm quite happy with the Christmas lighting reserves and the utility reserves, but I would like some more information on the Weymouth app reserve, because I don't know an awful lot about it. If we're allocating, looking at allocating £10,000 towards it, then I need to know a bit more. But it's gone through other committees and I've missed it, I don't know, I'm not quite sure where it's from. On the yellow ones at the bottom, I'm happy with all of those. I think we could dance around on those for like the entire evening without actually doing anything. The only one I would question on that is whether we need to put some sort of paper into the HR reserves. On the understanding that if reserves aren't used, they go back into the general reserve. Thank you.
Ian, are you able to answer the question regarding the
So that is relates to a conversation which has been muted in respect of getting at the council. That is the one whereby I would support that it may need further bid to come to committee before the application is made. So that would be one.
I think that is the question I was asking, is where's the bid for it?
Thank you. Councillor O'Leary. Councillor Easton.
Is it on? Yes, no?
Tom.
Yeah, everyone, Councillor Taylor, very pleased with the blue one, sorry, the green one. 2 out of 3 of the blue one, but once again, I have reserves on the town app reserves. So I'm a bit concerned around that one as a new kid on the block. I think I do agree with Councillor Hope in terms of hand up Monday. I'm waiting on some of the other things in terms of what's in the yellow, particularly the £150,000 for the nursery, because if I remember when I attended the meeting, there is a member of the public was a county council usually, and there was quite a big debate on that. Please to see more information on that when the report comes. The only other thing is, and I hate to be a nitpick, Appendix J, financially spelled wrong 10 times in the right hand columns, and there's no. Sorry, so start correct.
Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Chair. As a new person on this committee, could you just very quickly explain what nursery relocation is, because this is new to me. Which nursery, where is it, and where's it moved? I see it moving to Tubberman. It's not a children's nursery, it's a tree nursery, is it?
Oh, yeah, nursery as in the growth.
So that's when we say we've been calling it something else.
No.
Can I defer to Ian? Just a clarification, Chair. We have a nursery where we spray all of our flowers, which go into the parks and open spaces around town. There is a work stream going on at the moment to see if there's a much more cost-effective way of providing that service. And part of that would be to relocate the current nursery or to give up the lease of the current nursery and locate it at Tumbledown. That would generate significant savings. And although the cost of doing that work will be finalised, it will be something that will be brought back to members.
And having looked at the figures of the Tumbledown farm and seeing the difference between the income and the expenditure, is this a way of perhaps shortening that gap? Because it's made a tremendous loss this year as such. And I wonder whether moving the nursery there is a way of
boosting the income from it?
I think the moving the nursery.
carry
Moving the nursery, it does one or two things. It generates efficiency savings by a different model of delivery that we currently have when we lease the nursery. We're able to do that in a much more efficient way. And in terms of tumble down, it's ensuring that we make best use of our assets and use our assets to enable those efficiencies to come to fruition. The actual purpose of the other aspects of service delivery at tumble down is separate. But what this does do is ensure that we use tumble down as an asset to its full capacity.
Yes, if I can elaborate a little bit on what present leasing arrangement for our nursery is something of the order of £26,000. So we save that immediately if we move it to the land that we own. All right, so that's a very simple saving. But the other aspect is that what we actually are hiring at the moment is far bigger space than we need. We can't get it reduced with our present landlord. Consequently, we're paying for space that we don't actually need. The space that we would take up on Cumberland would be less than that which we presently use, and so consequently we'd be more efficient in what we were doing. And thirdly, things like heating costs and the like would also be able to be looked at. And as Ian says, you know, all those sorts of things are going to be looked at and then brought back to committees in order to see what the whole looked like.
Sorry, I just as a new person want to just get that all.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Harris. Councillor Beck.
I just wanted to raise that when we're considering anything about tumble down, we have to remember it's a service we offer to citizens of Weymouth, and also that it has significant social value. So it's not just the financial side of things, we're considering services as well as balance to be found. And so far, tumble down is doing well. We want to keep supporting it from a services point of view, and hopefully build the number of members of the community that are making use of it going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor O'Leary.
Yes, thank you very much. I think the question would have to be on the social value, but is that social value a loss of £70,000? And is that going to be the same year on year? You can't keep subsidising those sorts of things for that length of period, I believe, year on year, so that would be my concern.
No, duly noted, and that my point also is that, yes, of course, we have to look at the cost of things, but at this point, that's not a discussion this evening, I would suggest. But Councillor Dickinson.
If you don't mind, Chair, could I propose that we have 3 votes
I don't know.
on the blue, green, and the other two. Sorry, the green, blue, and pink. On the green, I think everybody's in agreement. It's already been sort of, the money's been allocated and not to put a lot of work into all of that.
Yep.
So if you say on that one, on motion A, or whatever it is, that we all vote on the green, then the second vote, could we move the Weymouth Town Act Reserve into the yellow and then just vote on the blue as Christmas lighting and utility reserve, and then vote what to do with the yellow going forward and leaving it abated until we've had time to discuss?
I follow your logic. Councillor Taylor.
Can I just suggest probably a different way, because this is to go to full council, so it's going to be a full council decision. But there's no reason that we can approve this as it is and say that we have reservations about the town, Weymouth Town Act Reserve, which we would like discussed at full council and get a full council decision on it.
Yeah.
I think probably the yellow ones. I think the rest is okay. It's just that one act that it's like concern.
And move forward.
Yeah, and I think if we do that, so we actually change it in the recommendations and just say a B, is it a B? Existing, no, sorry, a C. that, we have that the F&G had reservations about the Weymouth Town at Preserve. Or something like that. Don't know, tell me how to do this from a noting point of view. Rather than sort of trying to split a document off. What do you think? Somebody tell me.
So just for clarity, Chair, do this quickly, because we may be able to. So that's, I think the green and the blue may be something we may get a green result. Then the question which I would sort of ask members to consider is whether they leave the yellow ones as to be advised unallocated, which then allows it to be allocated at a future time to coincide with the priorities of the new council. And then that would be the recommendation from this committee. But what that would do, that's not to say that they can't be reinstated at full council. If anybody has any strong views. So that the recommendation would almost, Chair, look like that on the screen now. So that's what the application from finance and government would be. So we agree, the committee recommends those two blue items and the rest remains unallocated to be determined in accordance with the priorities.
Thank you for that. First of all, is everyone happy that they understand that? Councillor Taylor.
Yes, I do, but I would like the nursery reallocation reserve left as it is, because they are reserves, and if we don't use them, they can be moved around. And also, I think we put money into the asset. No, there was one other one that was
There was the future capital work.
future capital works, and I'll be quite happy leaving them. Okay.
Okay, I'm conscious as already alluded to, we could end up dancing around this all evening when we're.
If the third section is going to be left basically as we've suggested, which is that it is something that full council will look at, especially after it's had its meeting on the 20th of July, and it's looked at its priorities and strategy going forward. I think I'd like to, that doesn't matter us adding things to that we would like council to think about, and also the day of the 20th of July to think about. One of the things which Councillor Taylor mentioned was the need to have a op for HR reserve. So whether we can stick that into the yellow, if not therefore that's something we're approving or putting forward, but it's something we're suggesting should be considered when we consider all of them. And one question which my colleague sitting next to me asked is, up there is something about D-Day 80. Have we spent that?
Already been approved, Chair, and hence why the green ones we haven't really got too much.
Yeah.
So that we're just sort of saying the green ones are almost.
You don't vote for them. We're in trouble.
Yeah. The one area that I'm not entirely clear on at this moment is, are we putting the numbers back into the bottom section, or are we keeping them out? Or does it actually matter at this stage?
No.
That's a good point, Councillor Fern, but the officer recommendations are that we're recommending to full council that they consider them as they are, not that we're looking for them to approve the exact figures. So shall we?
There is a proposal, Chair. There's a proposal or one way or another to the members to debate.
Well, we've had a proposal from Peter. I'm happy to second that. Making it as a picture on the board.
Which is without figures in the bottom section.
Yeah.
But
just for, to see if we can just get this back into, logical order, Chair, is it okay just to sort of go to A and B, and then if there's a proposal for C, then we can do that separate?
Could I interject then? I would make a proposal that we take item A as is. Okay, I'm not precious about which order we do it in, so that's, you're quite right. Shall we vote on the proposed and seconded motion? So, unless anyone has anything else.
As it is.
As it is, so again, just to reiterate, that's with the figures, the first section, the figures still there, second section, and the figures removed.
Complete agreement with what's being suggested. Could we just vote for A, B and C on block?
That's what I was going to suggest, but councillor further point out that we already have a proposed and seconded.
I understand that. It's just pondering if it might be returned as an option.
Yes, yeah. Thank you. Let's do that. Let's cut this broadly in once. Shall I propose?
Well, I was brought, should we withdraw something?
You're gentleman answers. In which case, at risk of running rush over everyone. That's my first radio here. I propose that we vote on to approve point A, which is that we don't draft outturn position for the last financial year and underspend of £368,000. That we approve point B, that we consider the existing list of reserves, which is appendix H, and recommend to the full council any changes in the allocation of reserves that have previously been agreed. And point C, which is what we've been discussing in the mains, that we consider the list of items in appendix I and recommend to full council the final list of priorities that could be funded from the 23-24 budget underspend and agree those that should be delegated authority to be used. As previously discussed. I.e. we approve the green ones, the two that are still in the blue ones, and the items without any figures in the bottom section.
I'm not sure that he actually said that.
Just
think the wording has to be-
clarity,
Yeah.
I suggest if we're taking off the block, that we agree to note item A, which is the underspend, to agree any changes to the existing reserves, which are none.
Yep.
And we agree to the amended list of priorities as highlighted on the screen.
That sounds a lot straightforward.
And that's what you're going to propose?
And that is my proposal.
Have you got that, Nicky?
Anyone's still breathing, I would like to thank them. Thank you, councillor Dickens. Appreciate it. Let's move to a vote. Votes for.
That's good, you know, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, councillor.
And then we've been on for
And off.
Thank you, Chair. I do always like that item every year. It's that make our lives fun.
No problem at all. I believe you are introducing item 12.
Thank you, Chair. The next two items are items which have already been considered by the Environment and Services Committee. And we're being asked to just consider the same report here. I have got an amendment for the Champions Chair on the recommendation, but I'll do that. Also, going to cover that item. This report is basically asking that any appointments to working groups is to be delayed until such a time that the priorities of the council and this committee are further known. I know Councillor Taylor, for example, at the full council meeting, highlighted the very valid point that it's sometimes hard to be appointed to working groups where you don't really know what the work streams are, we don't really know what the directors are. So we're asking Chair that any nominations to working groups are just delayed until such a time as the priorities in the future.
Thank you very much. Any comments, councillor? I believe councillor Hope.
No, I'm jumping down on top of 30.
Okay, cool. Water report. Any comments, or should we?
Yeah, just one question. When looking at working groups, one of the things that we did discuss over the last few years is there's working groups that, if you like, are ongoing and building up policy and bringing policy ideas to committees. And then there's the sort of get on with it in action group. So something short and sweet. Are we including those in the aspect of working group? When we look at working group, will we have that difference clearly articulated?
Just to confirm, just to remind members that we have already confirmed that the CE working group and the
Yeah.
plan are up for the running, that was agreed at full council. In answer to your question, further working groups, the simple answer is yes. We will also ensure that we understand.
Some are task and finish groups and others are working groups.
Thank you for that, councillor Harris. Councillor O'Leary.
No, I was just going to say that obviously the enabler plan and the CEE one. It has to be true. And do, use for short term, sort of seafront lighting. Work would be a task and finish, and the enabler plan one is long term. All task and finish will probably be on. It's the quality of attention.
Thank you for clarifying. Appreciate it. Councillor.
To recommend or propose that we accept the recommendations written for item 12.
Seconded by councillor O'Leary. Thank you. Those for? Excellent. Thank you all. And champion roles.
Thank you, Chair. So this was again something which was considered in the Environment and Services Committee. I have changed the recommendation to reflect some of the outcomes of that meeting. So the Office of Recommendations in terms of champions now on the board, and that is to note that a nomination for a youth champion position will be considered at the next full council meeting as recommended by the Environment and Services Committee. Postpone nominations for further champion roles until the priorities of the council are better defined and agreed. And also something which I think members will probably agree with is to request that champions provide an update for every full council, so the members are fully aware of the champions that have been involved.
Thank you very much, councillor Hope. Did you want to speak now before I forget that you did? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, for allowing me to speak again. And I just wanted to really come in tonight and support the appointment of a youth champion. Obviously, this has come through services, and some of you were there at the services committee where prior to that full council meeting, where I stressed the importance that this role, which was formerly a working group, but doesn't need a working group now that the youth council sets up. But it's so important that our youth council has a connection with this council to ensure that their development, to ensure that they have a voice on this council and can engage with us. So I just really want to come this evening to for the appointment of the youth champion at the next full council. Really, the other thing I want to support was the request for an update. Councillor O'Leary actually suggested that the services committee, but my only sort of request on that is I think it would be good if it was a written update rather than verbal. We're talking 5 champions there, all giving a verbal update. It could go on a long time, so may want to come into your recommendation this evening.
Thank you very much. Councillor O'Leary.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm very supportive of this. The only thing I'd say is I think you check start. But when you go on the council website and look at councillors under the Wayne Town Council website, quite handy, it's not there. But under, I think, so the council Harris, it says on there, leader of the council, if you go on there, it'd be quite handy, I think, if it says, which is Councillor John Dickinson, Armed Forces Champion, you know, so people when they're on. Is that? Shut up. I'm happy to propose it.
Any other comments? Well, it sounded like we had a proposal to,
Andrew?
No, I'd like to put the amendment that councillor Hope suggested, written before. That's coming quickly.
Just changed.
Yeah.
yeah, councillor Bell, second. First of all,
Maybe have a.
Yeah, you did.
the information.
So, thank you, Chair. So, members will be aware or the notify any new members that we do include information items on, the agendas. They're not decision-making items, but they are there for members to, gain information. We do ask that if there is any questions on those items, if they could be forwarded to officers, and we'll be able to get any answers to you, that you so desire. But they are just information items. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Those are recommendations, the members know the information.
Question from the floor. As if.
Sense of security. Just really, as governance is more, this committee thing than services, I'm just struggling to see, and maybe what we're looking for is support from this committee to push its services direction. Is I'm not seeing on the board plan any scheduled sort of service reviews to the pace that we've actually got them out there. I can see one or a business support service plan review that's actually coming to this committee. I can't see any within the Environment and Services Committee based on the services that they've done and the plans that they've got, and I hate for them to be lost after the work being put into place for them. So really it's just comment to make. I'm hoping that finance and governance will support that and make sure that these service plans are populated into the board plan.
We Chair, what I would say to that, Councillor is I will ask the assistant town clerk to work with the chair of PNF to ensure that they are fitting into there.
Excellent, thank you very much. Any other comment? Would anyone like, sorry, Councillor Dickinson.
I don't know whether it's appropriate, but Miss Hamilton gave a talk about what she felt about the Weymouth volleyball event, but we haven't discussed anything about it. And I was just wondering, should we have had a small debate about like whether or not we support what she was saying? I don't know whether it comes in for us, but it seems a bit rude not to take anything on board Miss Hamilton was saying.
I see, my understanding is that in reference to the standing orders, we're not able to have debate and a question from the public. If the officers want to correct me on that, please do.
If you're absolutely correct, Chair, learning very fast. We can only debate those items which are actually on the agenda. Should they be wish to be considered at future meetings, then they could be requested to be added to the.
And that doesn't mean that I don't think we should discuss it at some point. I think it's a very valid point.
Just wondering whether it's also at the chair's discretion.
No, I don't believe so.
Thank you.
Any member could vote. In orders.
I take it, for the record, any member could vote to change standing orders. Suspend them, sorry. Should they, no, Pandora's box. Do we need to vote in the recommend?
No, just the members know the information I just checked.
Excellent, and we do, in which case, I will bring the meeting to a close. Thank you all very much.